Warning. If you're a snowflake or get easily offended or triggered,
Please end this transmission now, otherwise stay tuned.
welcome to Weird and Woke. With your hosts,
Austin.
and Basil.
Close the world.
But prepare to be awoken.
Hello.
We back.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Weird and Woke.
It's been a minute, we know. We had some prior engagements.
Yeah, there's a lot going on right now.
You know.
What have we been, what we got here? Yeah, we apologize for that.
I guess, I don't know if you guys are like, oh, we can tell by your voice, but I'm black. So my black ass took off for Black History Month because I can do that.
Why not, right?
As for March, we ain't Irish, but fuck it.
Right. Yeah, we apologize. We back in the grind. Got a lot going on for the brand, and the podcast as well. There's a whole lot of stuff going on.
Yeah, some new merch coming through. Be on the lookout for that.
Yeah, definitely new merch. Got, gonna work on some new episodes for the podcast after this. Gonna bring on some more guests since we haven't had one on for a while. But yeah, today's show is brought to you by weirdandwoke.com. That's weird, the letter N, woke.com. Make sure you go check the website out. We recently dropped, like Basil said, some new merch on the site. And we recently updated as well. Looks a lot more official. We're starting to get up to that level now.
Gotta be professional.
Right. For our listeners, we have a discount code that's WNWPOD. That's all uppercase, WNWPOD. You can apply that when you go to the checkout cart, and yeah, you get a 15% discount. So make sure you do that. Save yourself some money.
Yeah. And always follow us on our social medias, Instagram and Twitter, Weird and Woke Pod. That's the letter N, Weird and Woke Pod. Always check us out. If you have any ideas, suggestions, or you just want to holler at us, hit us up.
And then we got the Weird and Woke clothing as well. That's where we do a lot of our business. If you want to contact us or have any questions or want to check out some merch that you don't see, if you haven't gone to the website, you'll see it on there. It's also the same all on our Twitter. So we have all that. It's all the same. We also, one new thing we can tell you about, we just recently started sponsoring this YouTube channel called One Touch Talk. They're pretty similar to our brand, but they kind of go out and talk to just random people and just see, start up the conversation and see what life's out like around the world. They have pretty good content, so make sure you go check them out. And yeah, watch some of their videos. They're really good.
Yeah. Also, we guys were starting to get a gaming channel going on. Weird and Woke on Twitch. Is that right?
Weird and Woke Gaming.
Weird and Woke Gaming on Twitch.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sorry.
Nah, good.
But give it a look. If you want to see how we get down on the consoles and whatnot, or if you just want to just tag along for some shit,
Yeah, join us. Feel free to join us.
We don't have a actual schedule yet. We're getting that into work, so we apologize for that. But we'll always send out, say, hey guys, we're going to be hitting up on the gaming channel. If you want to watch or come join us, check us out.
Yeah, we can probably start sending out tweets or even make an Instagram. I didn't make one yet, but it's all in the works. So just me and Basil right now doing stuff for the brand itself. So there's a lot on our plates at the moment, but especially with this whole coronavirus shit going down,
Yeah.
that's a whole other mess going. I don't even know.
Starting to make it a little interesting for businesses and our job itself. We're not going to get in the subject of our job, but just saying it's like we feel for you all out there. Might be affecting your businesses or your work ethic or your pay or whatever. Some of you might like it because you like, you know what, my job ain't closing, and now because of this shit, we get paid extra. I was like, praise to you.
Right.
My job ain't doing that, but praise to you.
So, yeah, just hang in there, it'll blow over soon. Yeah, it's a lot. It's scary at the same time, but,
It's scary, but don't let the media put you guys in a mass hysteria where y'all be buying all the fucking toilet paper.
Right.
Because, God forbid a motherfucker got to take a shit and you got no damn toilet paper because y'all motherfuckers got 55 rolls in the house and there's only 2 people in that bitch.
Yeah, that's a little ridiculous. Just be, respectful of everybody. Don't be greedy. We're all in this together.
There might be times where it's like, some people can't make it to the store right now and get what they need, Don't be that ass where you buy a whole shelf worth of fucking stuff and then you fucking try to flip that bitch to make a profit.
Right. You try and get money out of it. It's like, we all are in need right now. So we got to work together as a community. The government's already taken over control. I mean, it was already destined to happen. So, I mean, it's just going to keep getting worse. We got to work together or else, we're not. But, back then, what did they do? They came together and they revolted against the government. I mean, if you look at it, it's starting to get to that time. Yeah. It's getting kind of scary out there.
We might be about due for
another revolution. Modern day revolution.
Yeah. But just a little PSA from the Wheel and Rope Bros. Just be considerate for your fellow man, fellow citizen. Make sure your hands and face and all that other shit, keep it clean, keep it sanitized. Won't be touching anybody or touching all sorts of shit. Just be safe for you and for your loved ones.
Yeah, definitely. If, just hit us up if you have any questions. We might be able to answer them. Maybe we don't. We're a little woke over here, so a little bit more stuff that some people might not. Yeah.
Speaking of woke, a little something. Might as well tie that into today's topic. What y'all know about these dinosaurs?
Right.
How'd they really die? Was it just a meteor thing, or was it something that started from the meteor and caused a whole chain reaction that might have changed the old evolutionary species of the world?
I don't know a whole lot about that shit. They don't be teaching you a lot.
They don't, man. Some of this shit we learn in literally just simple Google search. It's like you'd be surprised. It's like, oh, that shit happened?
Right.
No
way I knew that. I'm back in elementary school.
Right.
It's like, what the fuck? What do you even, where do they even come up with this shit? I never even heard of it. They have whole articles, obviously nowadays it's easier to get the information, but back when I was in elementary school, we didn't have no internet like that.
Right.
We had the internet, but
you'd be lucky if you get access to the computer lab.
Right.
They'd be like, look, block this. We can't have these kids learning too much. Become self-aware.
Can't learn that ancient history. Self-aware, yeah. You don't want those self-aware kids.
But yeah, in case you didn't realize, today we're going to be talking about the dinosaurs. What really wiped them out? Was it really just an asteroid? And then it's like, let's talk about it. It's a whole species we never really actually dive into. We just hear, oh, they got wiped out by the meteors. The end.
Right.
And but how?
Yeah.
What is the step-by-step or definitive reason that they just perished one day?
Well, yeah, they can't, especially if you think about it, a meteor came down, but that doesn't answer everything.
Right. The first thing, and it's funny how we started thinking about this. We were joking about it, and we were just thinking, it's like, the meteor wiped out the dinosaurs, but it's not like the motherfuckers are having a big ass meeting one day.
Right, they're all together.
And the fucking meteor just came down and wiped them all out. They had to have roamed the entire planet, and you can't expect a meteor that was nowhere near the size of the fucking planet to wipe out an entire species that was spread across the planet. As well as the fact that, why was it only dinosaurs that wiped out? There were some other species that still survived and even evolved into new species.
Right.
So it's like, we just did a little bit of researching, some of the stuff we found, y'all might know. I'm going to tell you like this, I didn't know. Yeah, so when I learned this stuff, man, this was interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. Like I said, you don't learn this kind of stuff in school anymore. They literally don't teach you it. I don't understand why they don't, but it's it's very interesting. You know, there's a lot of like I went down a whole rabbit hole last night while I was recording some music with my buddy Rob, and you know, yeah, I was there for quite a few hours.
Like, you know, been done with the song,
Right.
Boy got stuck on that knowledge.
Right, we went down I don't even know how many rabbit holes we get stuck down, but it just kept going. I was probably there till like 3:30 in the morning.
I don't blame you, because sometimes it's like that, you know.
You know, yeah, that shit was crazy. I definitely learned some shit that I ain't never learned before, and yeah, we gonna learn some new stuff today about them damn dinosaurs. So let's see what we can come up with for y'all. You know, I mean, take it with a grain of salt too, though. You know, maybe some of this ain't true, maybe it is. But
either way, it's just something new.
Yeah,
it gives you something to think about.
It's new information that you know you can go use yourself to go do your own research. I mean, me and Basil. That's what we did. We took dinosaurs. We took that and we went out and did our own research, and you know, this is what we came up with.
Right.
Like sometime maybe you might have a different source. Maybe you know somebody that is like what are they, archaeologists or something?
Yeah, archaeologists. You know, there's
works in
some other form of profession where it does the study of that shit.
Right.
I ain't gonna pretend I know it, because I don't.
Right. I don't know that shit.
But like, you know, it's crazy. Like, first things first, did you know that yes, it was a meteor that essentially wiped out some dinosaurs, but it wasn't the cause that wiped out all the dinosaurs?
Right.
It was more so a catalyst for a new evolutionary stage in fucking Earth history, I guess, if you want to call it. Where it's like, not only did that meteor strike Earth, it also, when it hit the Earth, it exploded, and pieces of it went within a 100-mile radius of the fucking center point, wiping out whatever life that might have been around at that point. But
right.
Not only did that happen, because of that chain effect, it caused volcanic eruptions, you know, earthquakes and shit all around the world, and
caused the chain reaction of
between all that, you know, stuff going on. Not only was some of the life around there dying, like, because of all the volcanic eruption, it was destroying wildlife's food sources for some of these
like
creatures,
plants and stuff.
Yeah. Exactly, plants. And then because of all the smog, ash, and, you know, smoke rising into the earth and in this atmosphere, it actually is like what some people might not realize. It terrafroze the planet, which caused
basically the ice age.
Yeah, an ice age.
Yeah,
where it's like, you know,
makes
it
sense.
blocked out the fucking sun for a period of time, to where it's like, that is essentially what started wiping out the dinosaurs. It wasn't the meteor itself that literally took out all the dinosaurs. Like I said before, it was a catalyst that started a whole new evolutionary change.
But yeah, that whole thing on another level is crazy.
Yeah.
Like, because that's what people think. Like, oh yeah, this meteor came down, just killed all the dinosaurs.
Yeah. But then, like I said, you gotta think about it. Like, how is it a meteor that, I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know exactly how big the meteor was,
but
or the size of the crater. But, you know, we obviously
yeah. But even still, like, if it wasn't. If it was as big as the Earth, it would have destroyed the entire Earth. So
exactly.
Therefore,
so it's like, it wasn't as big as the Earth.
Yeah.
Yet it wiped out a species that definitely had to be spread all around.
Right.
They weren't all fixated in one single point of the planet.
Yeah, and then people, I mean, some people will say, oh, because, what was it, the Big Bang didn't happen yet or whatever. Mm-hmm. That was, the Big Bang is way before that. It was supposedly to be the beginning of the universe, which created the continents. So, if that is true, then they would have all been on different continents in the beginning anyway. So, like,
they wouldn't have all been in that one conjugated area.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, you know, the fucking carnivores, they would have eaten each other.
Right.
Like, you know, don't say they don't. It's like, you also eating fucking Jurassic Park, nigga.
Right.
Fucking T-Rexes eating the fucking Triceratops and shit.
Just eating everything they come in contact with.
Don't tell me them dinosaurs wouldn't eat no other dinosaurs. I'll be like, no. If they were all together in one fixated point, there would have been a lot less.
I got a big head and little arms.
Y'all never seen
Shit.
the movie Meet the Robinsons? That's where that shit is from.
Right.
That shit's hilarious.
Definitely.
Check it out. It's an old school movie, but it's a classic.
Definitely suggest watching that shit. We've been laughing about that for a while now.
Laughing for a minute. But nah, back to the whole fucking,
man.
meteor thing, and then that's like, that, between the freezing the planet, also because of, between, at the time, all the volcanic explosions and whatnot, and then the Earth freezing itself where the sun's been blocked out, a lot of the plants and wildlife had died out to where it's like, even if you were, for the dinosaurs that were herbivores, because there was no plants around for them to really eat, they ended up starving to death. Whereas, you think, not all species died. You're right. And this is how we get into this thing about the motherfucking birds.
Right, I didn't even know anything
this is how the fucking birds survived and evolved, where it's like a fucking duck.
Yeah, right.
For one example, this is one of the things we learned about, the fucking ducks. This is how the fucking ducks survived and evolved into different species, is because most birds are fucking herbivores. They can survive off of the smaller shit, they survive off
bugs,
of insects, plants, other sorts of shit, even fucking
berries,
berries,
stuff like
other
that.
minerals and shit of the earth, where it's as well as the fact they are 100 times smaller than a fucking big ass herbivore dinosaur.
So they eat less shit.
What they can eat can sustain them versus the dinosaurs dying out. This is what also ultimately evolved into the birds surviving the fucking crisis of the meteor, because not only did they need less to eat, as well as the fact birds could fly. Whereas dinosaurs could not, unless you were a fucking pterodactyl.
Pterodactyl, yeah.
But even then, they still...
Those are big as fuck,
They were bigger creatures. Yeah. They ultimately starved like the rest of them. But because of the birds and they could fly, it ultimately, believe it or not, it takes less energy to fly than it does to walk. Right. Especially if you're a big-ass creature. So, yeah, between the lack of food, being able to migrate, that ultimately led to their death, where it's even though most of the planet was cold at the time, the birds that could fly could ultimately fly to a somewhat warmer location and live out there, as well as the fact because of this hefty climate change, it caused certain birds or new species to evolve, believe it or not, fucking penguins.
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
This is how penguins came into existence, because of the fucking the cold there. It evolved to where species of bird evolved to where they could survive in that harsh environment.
I mean, you'd have the penguins. If you look at a penguin, obviously it can't fly, but it has, I guess, wings. They're evolved to the form that in the area that they live, which is normally the fucking Antarctic or whatever.
Same thing with the way their beaks are. Their beaks evolved to where it's they can fucking peck through ice.
Right.
And, fucking get fish and shit throughout the water. It's the same thing with
they evolved to their surroundings.
Fucking flamingos with the long legs. They evolved for that climate change of where because of the ice and shit like that, and then eventually when that motherfucker started melting, water rose, nigga.
Right.
So the motherfuckers weren't drowning in shit.
They had to adapt to the long legs.
To where they have longer legs.
Yeah. You wouldn't think all these. I mean, yeah, birds, they all look differently, but they're all the same species. Even a human, we're all the same species. We're just adapted from different climates and adapted over time. It all relates. It's all works together, really.
I mean, that's usually how history is. When one species or another is faced with a type of plague or a catastrophic event, it's natural selection at this point. Certain species will die, some will evolve.
That's true.
I mean, look. Side note, back to what we're dealing with now. Maybe that's what this coronavirus is.
Right, it is basically
kind of a natural selection. Unfortunately, it is what it is.
Something you can't control it, so there's there's only you can only do so much.
It's you gotta think of it this way. It's it might be about that time where it's I'm not gonna be the person who spreads this information and misinformed. I don't know how long humans have been on this earth.
Right.
Not saying we're all gonna be wiped out from this virus, but this might be our version of an extinction or a selection or a type of culling, if you will, where you're you know what.
Take it with a grain of salt, but
it might be that time, and it's unfortunate, but you gotta think of it this way. It's we've been here for X amount of years. Out of all the species that ever roamed the planet, we are the biggest species population-wise on the planet. Earth. as well as the fact we are the only species that really fucking destroys the planet.
Yeah,
It's like every other species on this planet provides something beneficial towards the planet. Like it's like, you know,
I mean, yeah, they're part of the ecosystem.
It's like, you know, insects take care of, like, you know, insects, flies, and spiders and shit like that. They take care of, like, the bacteria and other small insects that roam the planet. You know what I'm saying? Like fucking lions and shit eat the fucking herbivores.
Yeah,
and then when a lion dies, you know, they become part of the earth and become the plants and stuff that fucking herbivores then eat. It's a cycle.
It's a whole balance.
We humans, in a sense, are an anomaly.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we don't. It's like we may think we're benefiting the earth, but at one point in time, either way, you know, we're slowly killing it.
Mm.
It's like, you know, all the shit we have nowadays, it's like, it's not helping. And then we're like fucking rabbits where we just produce, and take, and take, and take.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy though. Like they say we're at the top of the food chain. Is that how that goes?
Yeah,
basically,
that's what they consider us to be, at the top of the food chain. It's like, you know,
but, I don't know. It's a whole like crazy thing. Like I don't understand how. I mean, I'm not one to. I don't really believe the whole climate change. I believe to be, you know, the Earth warms up over time. Like that's just my take on it. Like they've seen how, I mean, if you think about it, the Ice Age ended. You know,
it's like, you know, we weren't around back then to necessarily like have shit that could cause global warming. So it's like at some point in time, the Earth got warm enough to where it melted the ice.
So how are you gonna say that we're the ones causing it to be changing how everything is going on? You know, like
that's a really good point you bring up. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like when a lot of people don't really think that way, it's like, oh, because humans do this and this. Now I'm not gonna lie and say there are things we do fuck up. Like look at our seasons, for example.
Right.
Our seasons are so out of whack because of the amount of shit we put into the atmosphere, and
true.
We fucking destroyed the goddamn ozone layer.
Oh yeah, definitely. It is
like, you know, when you think of it this way, like right now, it's like fucking 65 degrees out. Now, granted, yes, I know we're towards the end of March, about to hit springtime, but nonetheless, we are technically, if you want to get fucking technical, if you want to go by the calendar of this shit, we are technically still in winter.
Right.
And it is 65 degrees.
And we haven't really had much snow either.
Yeah, it's like nowadays, it's like, you know, back in the day when it was winter, your ass got snow, it was fucking cold. Winter for us sometimes can still be 30s or 40s. Now, it may be chilly, and it obviously go down when the sun goes down, but it's not like, oh my god, we got fucking snow and shit.
Right,
you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know if it was last year or the year before that. I remember it was like fucking mid-October going towards November. It was still 60 degrees out. I'm rocking shorts in fucking October.
Right, like what is this?
Like going into November, I'm like, I'm rocking shorts. Like, what is up with our fucking climate?
Right, Like, I mean, so let me try and see if I can tie this in with it. So yes, so the comet or asteroid went and caused the basically the world to tear freeze, and which basically caused the Ice Age. So then, you know, you have all them animals that are then adapted to the Ice Age.
Exactly.
You know, and then over time, then as the Earth started to warm up, then, you know, you have them start to adapt again, and then ones that didn't, obviously, they would die out. So then, as it, you know, it's a cycle. As our Earth started warming up, you know, the animals that couldn't survive in the warmer climate started to die off because they were adapted to the Ice Age. And it's basically, you know, like, if you think about it, you know, there was no humans back then, so therefore, there's no fucking, what are they, biogases or whatever, what are they called? You know, so how did that happen if we weren't around to, you know, destroy the Earth and cause global warming? It makes no sense. It all ties together. Like, for me, that's how I think. So to tell me that, oh yeah, we're causing global warming, yeah, we might be adding more to like the atmosphere.
Yeah, like, but it's not like we're saying we're not affecting it in a, you know, more, let's say an expedited rate. But like Austin said, this shit happened before. It's not just a random coincidence that one fucking point in time the Earth was frozen all around. Not just one part of the planet. The entire planet was fucking frozen. Then at another point, we have another age where that shit is gone.
Right.
It's like at some point in time, the Earth had to warm up enough to where that shit melted. But at another point in time, the Earth had to freeze enough for that shit to happen. And you gotta think, it's like, well, how does that work? It's like, who's to say that the planet itself, in a sense, doesn't go through seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Like, at X amount of years, the planet, for
Starts
whatever reason, gets colder. And then, as those X amount of years go by, like, it could be years, decades, millennia, whatever.
Whatever, yeah.
But it's like, at some point in time, that planet's going to warm up again. Now, who's to say, like, I don't know, give or take, let's say 500 years ago or so, it wasn't, like, for the most part, colder back then.
Right.
Where it's like, yeah, it had some warm days, but then some other days it was really fucking cold. Now it's like we're getting to that point, half a fucking millennia later, we're getting to that point where it's like, it's starting to warm up again. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
it's going through its own change.
Exactly.
Yeah, we kind of got off subject about dinosaurs, but it all ties together.
It's like, it's what happens. It's like a fucking tree where it's like, here's the main thing, and then here's the roots that branch in 100 different directions that connect to the main thing.
Like, you can even, like, go into how they say, use fossil fuels for gas and oil and stuff. I don't think that many dinosaurs on the Earth that it could power as much. We've been using fuel and oil for how many years? There's no way in hell I believe that there would be that many dinosaurs on Earth at that time that we can drill down into the Earth and take use them as fuel to fuel our shit. Yeah, like
I feel you on that.
It's very interesting to think about.
It's like it could be like this. It's like, yeah, we do use fossil fuel. It's like, okay, yeah, we take a tiny sliver of that piece of the fossil,
right,
and then just combine a whole bunch of other shit in there. But we'll say it's fossil fuel because we have that one piece in there. Whereas, like, 1% of that is fossil. 99% is a mixture of all sorts of other chemicals. Yeah. That why you think, oh, it has fossil and it's fine. Nah, that 99% of other chemicals is what's fucking the world up.
Yeah. Back then, cowboy days, they didn't have that shit. They were using wagons and stuff.
Niggas had the fucking horses and buggies,
And then if you think about it too, coal is it's not fossils. It's just,
it's a type of fucking earth.
Yeah.
A type of rock, if you will.
That is flammable. Oh, yeah. So it's like, they had that, but like you said, I don't know. That's a whole conspiracy in itself. Like, I've always thought about that. Like, I think I was on another podcast that I was listening to. They were literally talking about, like, oh yeah, like, they're fossil fuels, like, we're not depleting our sources of oil or gas. Like, it's literally just something that reproduces in the earth itself. Maybe I'm wrong on that to believe that, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense. I don't know.
No, I feel you on that.
It's very interesting to think about.
It is an interesting thing. Like, sorry for the sides, but it happens like that. But, like, if you want to get a little bit more into that whole thing, it's like, we'll obviously talk about that, like, how that shit affects the planet, like, how it's like we're really getting our energy for things. Mm-hmm. It's like, is it really what you say it is? It's like, but it's like, back to the whole fucking dinosaur thing.
Right, yeah. Sorry, guys.
It's like, it's all good, but, like, boy, I had to, while we was on that rant, I was actually pulling up some shit. But, like, back to the whole asteroid thing, and it's like, I actually know how big the motherfucker was now. The motherfucker was apparently 10 kilometers wide.
10 kilometers.
And it struck the coast of Yucatan.
I don't even know where that's at.
65 million years ago. I don't know where that shit is.
What is it? Yucatan?
Yucatan, how the fuck
Yeah, I've never heard of that in my life.
It's like crazy.
Didn't one our supervisor say that I think it was Gary.
Was it?
Didn't he say that it was like that you could still see the crater there or something?
Was that getting? No, it was Sam. Remember how we were talking to Sam about that shit?
Oh
he
yeah,
always kept saying
yeah.
alligators and
Yeah,
shit.
it was.
It's funny how he,
alligators.
but now, like, you know, back to how we were talking about, like, the fucking the meteor was a catalyst. It's like, well, basically for months, scientists had figured it out that dense clouds of dust had blocked the sun's rays, which darkened and chilled the earth.
Right.
Which, like we said before, which basically caused a terror freeze, which also killed fucking many plants and whatnot and other animals. But then it's like, you know, at the same time, not only did that meteor, not only was it coming by, like, it was a wide meteor of 10 kilometers, but it also was traveling at 30 kilometers per second. I don't know how fucking fast that shit is.
Yeah, I don't even know how to calculate that.
You know, reading from what this motherfucker says, that shit is 150 times faster than a jet airliner.
Damn.
So, however fast a jet is, take that shit and multiply it by 150 times.
Yeah. That's...
So, that shit, at that speed striking the earth,
definitely would cause
that
something.
would cause some serious damage.
Especially
to whatever was around it. You could just imagine they were just instantly eviscerated. Like, they were just nothing.
It's just snap of your fingers like that,
right?
You know.
Shout out to my boy Thanos.
Right?
I am inevitable.
That's where they got it from, you know.
You know what I'm saying? Thanos was like, you know that meteor that wiped out the dinosaurs? That was me.
You know. That's where they got the whole story for Thanos,
right? Right. Shit is crazy.
So like, yo, we got some inside information. Let me make a movie about it.
They said, "Oh shit."
That's just funny. Oh man.
But nah, it's like it's fucking crazy because it's like there's some other shit here, where it's like what else? Like the fucking melted rock that came from the fucking meteor explosion. The fucking shit was called, I guess, impact ejecta. That sounds like some weird shit.
What the fuck?
That sounds like some made up shit.
Right.
It's a thing. Which the fucking explosion was power enough to instantly melt bedrock and propel it more than 100 miles from its origin. So, just imagine that, like, whatever fucking dinosaurs might be around, they just look and they see this bright explosion.
Right.
Damn. Next thing you know, you just see these fucking pieces of rock hurling at you from miles of fucking way. You're like,
fucking
God,
terrified.
Dinosaurs are probably like, oh my God.
Right.
What is happening down here?
What is going on
I
right
just
now?
wanted to get me some grass.
Right.
A sip of water. I was like, damn.
I just wanted to live my life.
Right? But it's really interesting when you find out about that stuff and you just like...
Oh yeah, like I said.
You just wonder about that. And then it's like another thing. It's like, alright, we kind of talked about like the land creatures and the creatures that fly, but it's like, what about the fucking creatures that lived in the water? Like the sea and shit. Like, at the time that shit happened, like I said, you know, at one point because of the explosion as well as the volcanic eruptions, the fucking water on the planet had to have been heating the fuck up.
Right.
So where it's like, did the creatures in the sea die?
Yeah, I don't... Yeah.
Like, what happened? Like,
I mean,
I know there's some creatures that can, you know, be on land and sea, fucking alligators and shit, like one of the oldest fucking species in the world. But it's like, you know, like the fish and shit, like, the fuck happened to them? Like the fish, you know.
Yeah, that's I never thought about
got
that.
The fucking prehistoric sharks. Bitch, I've seen Megalodon.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, if you think about it, that the ocean itself is deep as fuck. So, I mean,
it's like, you know, I get it. Like, okay, on the surface, obviously, like, whatever shit is on the certain levels, yeah, but it's like, you know, some creatures can be at deep depths.
Yeah.
But that shit probably didn't even phase them.
Mm-hmm. And it's true, we don't even know about half of the fucking species in the ocean itself.
Exactly. It's like the same thing. It's like, alright, yeah. Now, when that fucking shit got cold and eventually that shit froze, it's like...
What happened?
What happened to them? It's like, you know, that's probably like why sometimes we'd be finding, like, you be seeing these sci-fi movies and you'd be like, oh, that's cool. And it's like, it's based off real shit. Like,
yeah,
the whole
even realize
fucking prehistoric creatures that are frozen. It's like, oh, this is just a sci-fi movie. It's like, nah,
that shit might be legit, bro. Yeah.
It's like, I've seen Discovery Channel, fucking one shot, you know how, like, the fucking anacondas and shit?
Yeah.
Well, like,
those are the big ones, right?
Yeah, there was apparently ones that, like, predated fucking anacondas that were big as shit. They were, like, I think the fucking name they gave it was Titanoboa. And this was some legit shit I
It was
watched.
bigger than like an anaconda.
Oh, it's much bigger. That shit is like huge. Like it was a documentary on Netflix like many moons ago. No, it was still on. I think it was through National Geographic. I can't remember the thing I watched it, but I watched it and it was crazy. And it was like that thing was huge, and there was like fucking gators and shit that were prehistoric that were big as hell.
Oh yeah,
like,
massive.
the motherfuckers were as big as trucks.
Damn.
Back then, and it's like the fucking Titanoboa was bigger than that because it was eating them motherfuckers like nothing.
Jeez.
So you'd be like, big ass fucking creatures existed back in the day. And we got the nerve to call ourselves the top of the food.
Oh yeah, right.
Let them motherfuckers come back.
They eat the shit out of fucking.
Nigga eating the truck, you just looking like in your little fucking Ford Fiesta, like, well, let me just cruise on this way.
Right. I'm gonna go that way. You enjoy your day, sir.
But it's crazy. You're like, damn, it's like all those creatures, biggest fucking buildings and trucks and shit that we have today, and you're like, it's crazy how they just died out.
Right.
And it makes you wonder, it's like, did they really die out? Like, are they just somewhere on this planet
that we haven't explored? Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me. We're fucking, trying to go to space. That's a whole nother story that I'd have my theories for. But there's continents on this earth that we haven't even explored yet. And then you got the ocean as well. Like I said, it's deep as fuck. You don't even know what is even in there. I mean, yeah, you have your sharks, your whales, you have your different species of those. But there's probably, I would say, some old fucking things in the sea that date back to
I'm not even going to begin to describe. I don't know how deep the fucking sea is.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's different fucking seas, different oceans. It's like, I don't know which one's the deepest, which one's the vastest. I'm not a fucking expert on this shit unless I cheat and look it up. But it's like, when you think about that shit, it's like, it's like we just don't have the technology to go those depths. But you can't tell me that, like I said, there were creatures big as shit back in the day that could handle those depths. It's like, who's to say they just did not get frozen down that motherfucker? They are still there to this day.
And then too, if they did freeze, it would what is that? What does the freezer do? I fucking can't think of the word. Not reserves, but preserves. Yeah, it preserves them. So if they did get frozen,
state of animation, frozen state of animation, stasis, if you will.
Yeah. So therefore, if it did get froze, then as the Earth warmed up, then it obviously would unfreeze them to where they could have survived.
Yeah, like a lot of people will be like, oh, it's like, well, you know how humans and shit freeze to death. It's like, you got to figure it this way. It's like, they're not fucking humans.
Right.
They have this durable fucking skin that can handle some of the weaponry we have today. It's like, it wouldn't surprise me if they can handle those depths, and then at that point they would just freeze. It's like if what the fuck was it? I saw this some shit a while back. I forgot where it was, but it was like at one point it was so cold, was it like fucking? It was either frogs or snakes or some shit where they were just frozen.
What?
Somewhere. I cannot remember. I shit you not. I really wish I could. This was a while back. It's I think a year or so ago.
Like they just froze?
Yeah, they were just frozen in place. They weren't dead.
Right.
They were just frozen.
Basically preserving,
because where they were at, it was so cold, they froze.
Oh, shit.
And it's I really wish I could fucking remember.
They're cold-blooded, aren't they? Or are they warm-blooded?
I think they are cold-blooded.
It's what? Is that a
reptile?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is that, because
are frogs reptiles? I'm about to sound real fucking stupid, but it's a legit question. Sometimes you don't know this shit.
Usually if you have a frog, you should have those warming lamps, right?
Yeah, so I feel like they might be.
I think they are a reptile, to be honest.
Well, back on subject.
It all relates.
It does. It's yeah, you gotta have those moments where you get a little sidetracked, but it ties back into the whole fucking thing. It's like certain creatures can handle that fucking thing where it's this is happening. let me just go freeze for a minute. At some point, I'll wake the fuck up.
Right.
When?
I don't know.
But it's
65 million years later.
Exactly.
I don't know. It's very interesting. If you think about it, yes, there's those animals that were able to adapt, throughout that millions and millions of time. I don't even know. I didn't word that right.
Millions and millions of time.
But they were able to adapt and are still around today. Like, it's crazy. Like the duck. Like we were talking about the duck. Like that shit's crazy. The fucking duck was in time. Probably something bigger or back then.
Right.
So it's like they're all related somehow.
Shit, when you think about it, maybe that's how we got a, how the fucking birds and shit evolved. Maybe that's how we got a fucking platypus, my nigga. It's a fucking
bird,
like a duck and a beaver, my nigga. Like it got a beaver tail,
right?
But it has a duck bill.
Yeah.
Like you know what I'm saying?
That's some shit right there.
Like
I don't even. What the fuck kind of is it? A mammal?
I think it is.
Yeah.
I think it is.
It's just like a mixture of fucking genes or DNA got mixed over time to create another weird ass looking creature.
It's like a fucking is it a mule? It's like a fucking mule. Where it's like a mixture of a donkey and a horse.
Yeah. Who the fuck thought about breeding that together to get a smaller a smaller creature? I mean, a donkey is its own, and then a horse is its own species. You mix the two, you get a mule.
Right.
Who the why?
It's like what person or what possibility you think about that? But it's like another thing. It's like that's also probably another reason how certain species survived back then. It's like excuse me. Back then, it's like you got to think about it this way. It's like a lot of species were becoming extinct. It's like maybe those species were like, you know what? Let's see if we can fucking breed.
Right.
Create a new species that can survive this shit. Like, you got half of what I need, I got the other half. Let's make
something out of it.
Like, don't think animals are fucking dumb just because they're animals,
Right, there's, they
some
have
of the
their own
motherfuckers
personalities.
are really smart, like fucking dolphins and shit.
Oh, they're smart.
Dolphins and sharks. They can use different parts of their brain that we can't even access, and we consider ourselves to be smarter than them.
Right.
Where it's like they can use part of their brain allows them to use fucking sonar, which allows them to literally track shit, and fucking sharks can sense shit by vibration. It's like we can't fucking do that, but we consider ourselves to be better.
Yeah, we can be. We're not. Yeah, I feel. I don't know. It's weird to think about, but if they could fucking actually talk,
right? If them motherfuckers started talking, I'd be like, "So you not gonna eat me, cuz?"
Right.
Like I'm dark meat. I don't think so. Delicious.
I wouldn't, like I said, if they could talk though, like that shit would be crazy to think, like what they actually would know.
It's like what they would say. It's like I've been studying your fucking society for like years. Right. And it's like you guys are dumb. It's
right, you guys are dumb as fuck.
It's like a damn.
Well, too, like they use each animal species, has their own language,
right?
And they mate with each other. How the fuck?
Yeah, it's like they don't be like, right. You know what I'm saying?
Right. It's like they talk to each other.
They
like
have fucking mating rituals. Certain tells. It's like it's the same thing with if you want to think about fucking bees. It's like what I'm saying. They have an infrastructure where they serve their queen and do all this shit. Where they build fucking hives. That's not stupidity. That's fucking genius that they have that structure and mentality to do that shit.
Right, their brain might be small as fuck, but, to be programmed to do something like that is, like, we literally have to learn to do something like that.
It's like that shit is in their genetics.
That shit's crazy. I don't know, that gets, like, a whole nother level of, like, shit. I don't even know. Like, when I think about something like that, like you said, like what a bird will fly because it's cold out to another location, like they did back then to escape the extinction, basically. Well, I mean, if a bird stayed here now and it's hot as fuck, but obviously they're probably confused nowadays.
Yeah,
they don't know.
They're probably like, what the fuck way do I go?
Right, like where do I go from here? But it's programmed in them to escape the cold so they don't freeze to death. Like that on another level is like there's something in them that they're smart as fuck to be able to do that. And then they have literally they talk to each other. They have their own language.
Exactly.
Like humans have their own language and or language, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you speak a different language. I speak a different language. I don't understand what the fuck you talking about. Like you could be from like another country and literally you have a different language. I can't communicate with you. You can't understand what I'm saying. I can't understand what you're saying. We're the same species, but
we have different languages.
Yeah. So like if you think about it too, maybe I don't know if this is true, but can a shark talk to a dolphin?
Right.
They're two different species, so are they able to communicate, or is their language completely different?
Yeah.
Like it's very interesting to think about. Like it's
like, can they like legit talk, or is it like just a primal thing? Where It's like they kind of feel each other out and they can sense that shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Different. Yeah. I don't know. That gets crazy. That's something to think about. That's just something I thought of right now. Like you don't think stuff like that.
Nah, like
daily.
I feel you. I didn't even think about it till you like literally mentioned it. It's like, damn. It's like we as humans, despite the fact we're the same species, like you said, we have multiple different languages. Yet we have intermediaries or ways to translate or feel out that language. It's like who's to say other species in a way don't have that, where it's not like they have a fucking mediator,
right?
But it's like in a sense they can be like, in the most part, kind of understand what each other is portraying. Based on, like I said, instinct. Mm-hmm. It's like when you don't understand somebody, but at the same time you can kind of gather
what they're trying
to say based off of like the way their body moves or like hand gestures or stuff like that.
You kind of read the body language.
Exactly.
It's I don't know. Like we're talking about dinosaurs, but like I said, it all relates to each other. Like
because I mean, it's like you think of it this way: there's many different species of dinosaurs, and it's like. Dinosaurs at some point had to, like, in a way, converge and communicate with each other. It's like,
they're all living.
There were clans of fucking dinosaurs that, like, huddled together in groups. It was
even
basically the fucking
species, but
like, even the carnivores, like, it's like when you have a wolf pack, and, like, you'd be like, oh, they're just howling. I don't mean shit. That's how they fucking communicate. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like you had to think that's how they fucking communicated, too. Like, the dinosaurs, like, they had to have some type of way of communication.
I mean, cats and dogs are different type breeds, but they communicate with each other all the time.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. Like, a dog or a wolf are basically the same thing. They're just, on another level of wildness, I guess. Right. And a wolf, I guess, does a wolf bark or does it just howl?
I mean, I would say a wolf howls, because it's like, if you want to think about it this way, like a wolf is like the original version of a dog,
right?
And like the dog is kind of like you want to say a subspecies, so to speak, or a different evolved version.
Right.
So it's like how like huskies look like fucking wolves, and sometimes huskies actually fucking howl. Yeah. They don't just bark; they fucking howl. So it's like you think about it like that. It's like the same thing with like certain fucking cats.
Yeah.
Like some cats don't just fucking meow. Some cats fucking damn near roar.
Like a fucking lion or something.
Right.
That's lion's a cat.
It's like the original species of a cat. Like you got lions, fucking jaguars, fucking pumas.
Right. That shit's damn.
Like I'm not sure if a fox is a variation of a cat.
I don't even know what that is.
Might be more of a dog.
Yeah, I think that's more of like a wolf type species.
There's like a lot of people like try to say like foxes and wolves have like similarities. But it's like nonetheless. Yeah.
They just have their own little sound.
But it's like it all just comes full circle back to the dinosaur, and you'd be like, damn. I know we kind of didn't give like too much info on it, but like still, it's like it's like we don't want to give you everything. We want to inspire you guys to like look into this yourself.
Right. We talk about stuff like all the time, me and Basil, and it's just like a subject that we thought was interesting. So
it's like like I said, we talked about it one time with one of our coworkers, and he kind of brought up. He was like, and I was like, at that point, I was like kind of curious. I was like, you can't tell me like a meteor of this size killed
everything.
mass species or species. Species already sounds fucking plural. There's a species. No, let's not do that. That sounds retarded. Multiple species.
Species.
Multiple species. You can't tell me a meteor of only that size killed multiple species around the entire fucking planet. And it's like, it was something that made me think. It's like, it wasn't so much as a conspiracy, like, oh, the government is behind this shit. The government didn't fucking exist unless them niggas time traveled and fucking changed the future. But it's like, then, it's like, you think about it. It's like, yeah, all we know is, oh, the meteor wiped it out. It's like, then you gotta be like, if you just take the time to really think, you can't tell me something of this size wiped out a species, or like I said, multiple species worldwide. And if it did, that would have meant the meteor itself had to have been bigger. And if it was, at that point, it would have destroyed the planet or made it to the point that we wouldn't exist right now because the climate and the environment would have been too much for anything to evolve from it.
Oh yeah, if it would have literally wiped everything out, then you'd have plants that grew, but that would be it.
Like certain plants eventually came back in a while, because now if you think about it, like in the fucking Arctic and like the more towards northern areas where it's really cold, there are plants that do thrive in the cold. They grow from that shit. I can't think of them off topic because I'm not a fucking botanist.
Yeah, I don't know anything about
that. There are certain plants that grow that can handle extreme cold, just like there are certain plants that grow like in the south that can handle extreme fucking heat.
Right. Well, yeah, palm trees.
It's like,
palm trees are fucking.
It's not just like living creatures like other beings, but plants as well, because they are a type of living creature. They do grow and wither and die.
Right.
They too evolved to handle the different climates that were presented to them throughout the fucking time periods.
That is true. Most people don't think about a plant being a living creature. I mean, it's not a creature, but it's a living thing.
It's a living thing.
Yeah.
If it grows, then it's for the most part living.
Yeah.
If it can grow, if it can age, if it can die,
yeah.
if it can evolve,
you don't
it's living.
Yeah. Like, you don't look at a rock like that is a rock. It just sits there. It doesn't grow. It doesn't move. By the time it moves, if it has force behind it.
It's like the only way a rock changes or moves is if some unnatural force or regular force shapes it into something different.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a lot to process, but it's a lot of information that you never would learn in school.
Yeah, like I'm saying, it's like I swear to God, my whole 12 years or however many years I went to school, I can't tell you. Nonetheless, my whole school life, whenever we learned about that shit, that has never come up.
No, just the
meteor. It's never been bothered to be further research, and it's like, why wouldn't you want to tell kids about the fact that, hey, by the way, yes, we know we told you the meteors wiped it out, but it wasn't just a meteor.
Right.
It was, the meteor, like I said, was a catalyst that caused an evolutionary fucking change. That would have been a lot more cool to learn about in school than saying, oh, these things existed, but then they got wiped out by a meteor at the end.
Yeah, they don't really go into depth.
It's like the meteor caused an evolutionary change and affected the planet worldwide, caused species to die out, certain species to evolve, like a whole new fucking thing occurred from that one act of fucking nature. And that's something you don't learn about. It's like, well, why wouldn't you teach kids about that? Or like, not even kids, so to speak, but like when you're in fucking high school in general. It's like,
I just thought of something.
This shit is not known worldwide. I mean, granted, yes, it is on the internet, you can search it, but if you don't have that drive or even that idea put in your head,
or to put everything together either.
No.
Like, I just thought of something too. Like, if you think about it, they really drive global warming, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to teach you things that might go against what they want you to believe.
And then, that comes back up to what you said before. It's like, it never occurred to me that, oh yeah, we're responsible for global warming. But at the same time, like you said, it's like, there was an ice age at some point.
Yeah, and that shit died out.
And then that shit died out. It's like, at some point in time, there had to be what you guys call now a global warming crisis, that it melted the fucking ice to where, like, the Earth became more suitable for other living creatures again.
Now, unless a bunch of woolly mammoths were farting like crazy and
Right,
caused
right.
all this,
farting and shitting, where it's like for a good minute,
Yeah.
the planet smelled like ass.
and literally melted all the snow and the ice.
There had to be some
had-
type of
yeah.
phenomenon that simulated what we call global warming that melted that shit in the first place. And then, like, kind of like what I said before, it's like, you know how the Earth or like parts of the world have seasons because the Earth rotates.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, who's to say the planet itself doesn't have
its own
seasons
seasons,
itself?
yeah.
It's like, you know, we don't know for sure. It's like, I'm not going to say like I sound like a scientist. Who's to say like at one point we don't get farther away from the sun to where at times that's why the planet freezes. And then at some points the fucking planet gets closer to the sun.
Right.
At sometimes that's why it's hotter than normal.
Almost like a
Certain
pendulum.
times. It's like, we don't know that. It's like if the planet moves where it spins, and yes, I get it, it's on an axis. Who's to say at some point in time throughout the years that axis might weaken to where the planet itself physically moves?
Right.
It's like, you know, the planet rotates around the fucking sun.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sun all the way around, but it's like, who's to say during that rotations it doesn't sometimes drift further away or closer away? Like, it's not on a fixed current, so to speak. It's like,
well, they say,
if you think about it, like, if you're coming down a rapids, you're not on a fixed current. You kind of are, but you aren't. Where it's like, I can drift at one point on this side of the fucking river and then drift on another side. Like, you never go straight unless you forcibly make yourself go straight.
Well, yeah, you literally have to.
So who's to say the planet itself isn't like that, where as it rotates at certain points, it drifts further away
or
and
closer.
It drifts further closer.
Yeah.
Like, there might be explain why certain years we have warmer fucking winters than we normally do, or some years where we have cold as fuck winters where it's like in the negatives every night.
That's true.
You know, it's just something to think about.
I mean, we haven't had like, you know, a snowstorm like we had like years ago.
Yeah, like it's been a minute since we had like a legit snowstorm, and like they may predict it, they may call for it, but it never really happens. Where it's like there was times where it's like we used to get snowstorms where it'd be like 3-4 feet of fucking snow. Your ass was not getting out the fucking house.
Yeah, this shit was like up to your freaking windows or higher.
Right.
I haven't seen that.
Nowadays it'll be like sometimes in winter it's like, oh, it's 29 degrees. It's cold, but it's not fucking freezing. I mean, don't
it's
get me wrong,
freezing.
it's technically freezing. It's below freezing. But you get what I mean. Like the nature behind it. Like the fucking roads are clear. Everything's fine. There's not a lick of snow on the ground. It's just cold. And it's not like the negatives, like I'm saying.
Right.
It's not negatives. It's just cold.
So that's all. It all ties together again. It I don't even know. Like I said.
And, you know, if you think about it, you know, who's to say that the fucking meteor, when it hit the fucking planet, shifted it off its fucking axis?
That was a good possibility. Going that fast, too?
That kind of fast, and that impact, like I said, it was a big meteor, because, like, I forgot, where the fuck is it? I don't know. Whatever. The fucking crater still exists today. If you actually go there or look that shit up, and you're like, wow, the crater's this big, and it hit the planet this fast with this much force, you can't tell me maybe at some point, even by a slight margin, it might have shifted it off balance.
Yeah. Or even knocked it off its axis.
That's like when you take something and hit it, like if you take a fucking baseball and you hit like a tree branch.
Right.
Even if it doesn't completely break the tree branch, it has shifted it now.
Right.
It's not in the exact same position anymore. So like I said, if you take something that was hurling through space at that fucking speed and that rate, that blast radius, and it fucking collides with the planet itself, the bare surface. It's not like it hit anything that's fuck up its trajectory on the way down, and it hits that. You can't tell me at some point or another it might not have possibly shifted the fucking axis of the Earth to where like it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't ride on that specific pendulum anymore.
Wait, if it was able to, it was going at that speed and it was able to cause freaking volcanoes and shit to erupt, then
it
could have definitely positively.
It essentially caused natural disasters on the Earth.
Which,
like, you can't tell me at some point it didn't affect the Earth itself to where it's like it knocked it off of its balance.
Mm-hmm. Damn, yeah, that's just crazy.
But you know, like I said, you know, a little preview for you guys. You know,
you know, this is.
Can't say
we're just dropping breadcrumbs.
We'll probably come back up on this topic again. You know, maybe have a guest on who actually knows a little bit more about this.
Yeah, I don't know.
Give us some insight. Maybe we can ask them some questions. if you guys get curious about it and you got some questions,
Shoot.
ask us.
Yeah, hit us
Maybe
up.
we can find somebody who can answer those questions. We can have them on one day.
Or if you have like somebody that you could suggest that we have on,
right?
that might have inside information.
It's like, hit us up. We'll find a way to make it work so we can have you on here and talk about it more.
Yeah, definitely.
But like you said, we just two weird bros just
having a conversation.
It's how it is. When you have that idea and you just run with it, and it just, like Austin said, leads down a rabbit hole, and then that rabbit hole connects to another rabbit hole, and it just keeps going.
All connects down the line. But yeah, thanks for joining us, guys. I think this was a pretty good episode.
We're just glad to be back in the moves, and don't worry, guys. We're not gonna take another month and a half. We're gonna try and get a little bit of a schedule going on. Like, we're gonna start kind of planning this out better, because there might be some of you that really look forward to hearing this, and then you're like, well, damn, they took a month and a half out of nowhere. So we're gonna try and get a schedule going on, and
probably
try
have
to make
more
it easier
guests
for you
on,
guys,
too.
so we can get a fucking thing going on, so we can have a schedule for you. Also, like I said, check us out on Weird and Woke Gaming. We're gonna try and get that set up soon. Get that squared away. If you guys like gaming, if you want to play with us, or just want to watch us see us rage in some of our favorite games, just give us a check out.
And then we got, obviously the Weird and Woke Pod on Instagram, and the Weird and Woke Clothing on Instagram. We also have a YouTube channel now. You can actually listen to the podcast on there. I think we have 2 episodes. I got to get the 3rd one up still.
Yeah, well, once we get done, we're going to try and get the 3rd of this one up there. So if you guys are like, oh, I don't feel like using other apps and you just want to listen to YouTube, don't worry, we're going to definitely get that up there and set up for you guys.
Find us on, you can find us on pretty much just about everything but Apple for some reason.
Yeah, Apple's being weird about it, but when has Apple not been difficult?
Right,
let's be real.
Right. But thanks for listening, guys. Again, make sure you check out weirdandwoke.com. We have a lot of stuff on there, a lot of new stuff coming up with, and just a whole new outlook on life is coming. So,
yep.
Stay weird.
But be prepared to be awoken, baby.
Hang in there, guys.
Take it easy.
Bye.